Well, we have what, in some respects, are two education bills. I guess that's the generic term that we're going to use is education bills. But in some respects, I feel almost badly that we're calling it education bills because in some very, very real terms, what we're dealing with here are some special conditions and circumstances associated with education, I guess, in a generic sense, but some very real consequences and real predicaments that are being addressed that I think bode well for those who are subject to them. And it doesn't necessarily spread to everybody throughout the entire education system. And the fact that you folks are here today is very, very important in that respect because, well, not everybody may be aware of what it is we're dealing with in the two bills. You are, and did not let it slide away from either your consciousness or your determination to see to it that a resolution was reached. And I want to compliment the legislators associated with both of these bills today because they took up the cause, if you will, that not everybody may have been aware of and saw it through and didn't let it slide simply because it didn't have necessarily the kind of dramatic attention that might otherwise attend incidents in the one instance, or be seen programmatically as well. That's a good thing, but how does it affect me with the 3 R's program? And in addition, I know some of you may not be aware because of the two bills, we're going to be able to take a photo. We couldn't put everybody together before on a bill we signed with respect to charter schools in June. And so I'm happy to be able to have an occasion where we can get at least a majority of the folks associated with that bill together to commemorate it. So in the first, the Representative Mizuno was particularly both interested and acted as a legislative catalyst in the House bill. The 1796 addresses the question of restraint and seclusion. It sounds almost as if we were talking about a healthcare context or something. It sounds rather esoteric, but those who are associated with it understand that this has to do, in particular, in areas of what is generically termed special education, where you have individual education agreements, where you have where every story is unique, where every person is unique, and the requirements for dealing with the everyday realities of children with special challenges requires people with special talents and special commitment to be able to effectively and not only deal with the individual conditions and circumstances, but deal with it over time. Drawing a very, very rough parallel, if you'll allow me, anybody who's been associated with juvenile detention, anybody associated with, as I have been and others have been in the corrections and public safety side of things, anybody who, by definition of emergency medical services, hospital situations, they understand that there are times and conditions that arise, sometimes rather spontaneously, that you have to have a very clear understanding of what your boundaries are and what is appropriate. And so I think this bill deals with the conditions and procedures for the question of restraint in public schools and provides for the collection of data and a clear understanding of what we need to do in order to resolve any questions that may have arisen with what is appropriate behavior on the part of those who have the responsibility. This will not be easy to implement. This will be a work in progress once the intent of the legislature is made manifest by the signing of this bill. But I want to commend everybody associated with it. There's a lot of hard work and collaboration went into making this bill and the language of this bill appropriate to the circumstances, and I'm very pleased to see three of the key members of the legislature who saw this through here with us today. The other is, in a certain sense, a happier reference point for us. The 3R School Repair and Maintenance Fund program provides for support for our school system, our education system, that it might not otherwise have, and certainly provides them more flexibility in terms of how they can collect funds, when they can collect funds, and where the funds can go. It authorized the transfer of any other monies received in the form of grants and donations for school level improvements into the 3R School Improvement Fund. That simply wasn't legally possible for that to take place before. It may seem a technical point to those who don't deal with it every day, but it is one that provided a legal hurdle that inhibited the 3R program and those who support it, and those who might be able to support it, want to support it, and couldn't support it, to be able to do so. So we're very, very happy to be able to have that opportunity today. So I'm going to ask first for our legislative contingent to come up for the signing of both bills, and then we'll take some pictures with everybody associated with each or both of the bills as suits you post-signing. Now, would anybody, John, would you care to say a word or two about the passage of the bill?
Yeah, I just see a number. First of all, Senator Takuda, thank you so much for your push on the Senate side. We know that the House and Senate needs to work together, and I want to thank you for being such a champion on this measure. And Representative Ito, who is a former teacher, thank you very much, my good colleagues. I see a lot of parents and children in this room, and I'm in awe. Thank you so much for your inspiration. It would make sense. Seclusion is like solitary confinement. This is not prison. We need to have an educational system where we can trust it. The parents and students can trust it. And today, we're going to do that, especially for our special needs kids. So I want to thank the parents and advocates. Because of you, we're here today. Thank you so much. Thanks, Governor.
Would you folks like to say a word or two?
Well, Governor, thank you for doing this. And, you know, like Representative Mizuno said, if it wasn't for the advocates, I see Ivy Lee, who apparently is retired on Monday, which just means we're going to work with her even harder after retirement. If it wasn't for the advocates, we really wouldn't have these pieces of legislation before us today. It's because of their hard work that we're able to celebrate this moment. And especially with the restraint and seclusion measure, I did want to add, while everyone talks about the fact that this has been for our special needs students, I really wanted to point out that I think this is a case where our special needs students are leading the way to support all of our students. Because when we talk about restraint and seclusion, it really is about making sure we do what's right for all of our students. I was actually talking to a high school student about this bill earlier this week and saying, this is going to make sure that all of you are protected, not just our special needs students. So really appreciate the fact that our advocates were making sure that all of our students would be safer going forward. And really this is setting a great precedent and model, not just for Hawaii, but for the country, because this is even going forward before national legislation is passing. So thank you for giving us this opportunity to get started on a lot of hard work that's going to be before us. But I'm glad that we were able to put this forward, working with the House and our House leaders to pass this out in the final days of session. So
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks, Ken. I want to say too, just before I sign it, that I had my first instructions from Ivy Lee about what an individual education program was all about, and that has stayed with me all these years. And so it's a pleasure to see you here today. If there's anybody who has been an advocate for children at all stages of their life, it's you. And it's a privilege to be in your company. First, 1796. That's done. And now the 3 R's.